Welcome to the Victors Nation Experience. I am your host, Jason Robinson. With me, my PICs, Derek McCarty and Dre Fame. We got another awesome guest. We got fucking OBJ on tonight, aka our boy Justin, last name Rowe, from Blue Tide 90. Third time appearance
Wow.
as well, too. He's putting up Tom Brady numbers right now. But
For
we're
sure.
going to have a fun episode with this topic. It's going to be real interesting. Again, welcome, Justin. Thanks for coming on again, man, for the third time, and we appreciate it as always, dude.
Of course. No, happy to be here. Also, I love that you call it the Victors Nation experience. It is a full experience here. This is like I feel like you really get into all of it. But no, I appreciate you guys having me on again. I mean, I'm excited to jump in. I mean, I don't know that there's ever. Obviously, we're 11 days, I believe, out from kickoff. Normally, we just be talking about that, right? Like, okay, what's the season going to be about? But we have so much other shit to talk about too. There's a lot going on.
No, Justin, we got to talk about that dickless organization here in a little bit. So, aka Dave Portnoy, dude, love it. They are truly one. I'm going to mention that as well too. So, but no, yeah, again, man, thanks for coming on. We appreciate you. So,
Of course,
I'm going to pull up the fun list that we're going to go through today. So, Derek,
there we go.
Take us away, dude.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So, all right. So, what happened Friday? The hammer came, and the hammer left a lot of people very, very underwhelmed, except for us. But there was some stuff on here that I thought came. So we'll get into making fun of the hammer in a little bit by introducing a new shirt that we created. But still, there was some maybe some unexpected. We knew that something was going to come, and I think anybody that was following along thought that they would come swinging at Connor Stallions and Jim Harbaugh. Because those are basically fake penalties at this point in time. Right? They're, Jim Harbaugh is not coming back to college football. So they can do whatever they want. And what is it except for just a muscle flex to try and say, yeah, we dropped a punishment. But still, hit us with 4 years of probation. Hit us with $50,000 fine, plus a lot of percentages, 10% of the budget of the football program, a fine that is up, I think what they say was up to $20 million of anticipated loss. Yeah, $20 million of anticipated loss postseason revenue. 10% fine that is equivalent to 10% of scholarships awarded to the Michigan football program. The things that I think were the trigger, I don't know this for sure. I think a trigger to why Michigan's response was to appeal was a 25% reduction in official visits for the 25-26 season and a 14-week prohibition on recruiting, which is more than a quarter of the year that they're trying to put a prohibition in place on Michigan from recruiting communications. So
with a lack of evidence, yeah.
Right. Weird. So Connor Stallions, 8-year show cause. Jim Harbaugh, 10-year show cause. I am pretty sure that the fine print says that those aren't including time that they've already been show caused for. Denard Robinson, a 3-year show cause. And Sherrone Moore, a 2-year show cause, which basically means be perfect. They're going to be keeping him under the microscope. And then they attempted to tag on another suspension for next year. And at this point, what the hell are we doing? We're a couple years removed, still trying to put suspensions on coaches. Like, what the hell does that have to do with anything?
So he didn't get suspended? He didn't get suspended?
Well, Michigan's appealing it. So that's what they came with was an additional game, in addition to the 2 games that we were going to self-impose,
and then the game in Germany.
Another game next year. You had to start the season. So
canceling trips.
Yeah. So like, man, I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say. Justin, I know you've
But
been pretty close to a lot of this stuff. Jason, I know you
yeah,
got some passionate rants to get onto.
of course, no, for
Oh
sure.
shit.
And I think that I've got a couple questions. One, like I always look at this from a like comparative standpoint. Obviously it's something, you've seen recruiting violations in the past, so it's hard to compare to. I don't know what this like when you're looking at the $50,000 fine, 10% budget, the loss of the postseason. Where are they coming up with a lot of these things? I feel like they were just pulling at strings and throwing numbers at a wall and seeing what stuck. And that's where I do think that Michigan also, from a revenue standpoint, from all this standpoint, they're like, hey, we do. I will say one thing that they need right now is revenue. Every school needs revenue right now because of NIL, revenue sharing, all that stuff. So I don't know where they came up with this stuff or what it's comparing to. I don't know if I'm crazy, but where did Denard? Nothing came out about Denard in all of this. It was just like one tweet that he was, had the show cause. Did I miss any other
I
information
was
that came
gonna
out?
ask you about where Denard came from because I didn't hear anything about him either. I thought he got in trouble for something and then he got fired. I mean, he got fired because of what was it, DY or something like that?
Yeah, he had some other stuff, but for him to be involved in this, I guess I'm confused on that because there was no
Me too.
clarification
Me
where
too.
that came from. At least it wasn't in that call. Also, I just want to say too, with them hosting this press call conference, whatever, like that to me is just like, okay, let's try to draw as much attention 2 years
It's
later to
Yeah,
what's
it's been
going
this
on right
whole
now.
fucking experience. So like even like national sign so like signing like your letter as well too. They released something that day as well too last spring. So for 2 years they purposely tried to do dumb shit on specific dates, and then you're right, Justin, a public announcement as well too. But sharing information, you have to have due process, right? Other schools get it, but with Michigan, it always leaked to Pete Thamel, Uncle Pete. It always went to that fuck
Straight to
to leak
Pete.
it out to the sports outlets, so sports media outlets, ESPN. But there was no due process with Michigan. They purposely tried to tarnish our season. But thanks for a national championship, bitches, because you just added a fuel to us. Love it. Go ahead, Justin. I got a lot more to say.
No, I love it. I
Ton of
love it.
shit.
Yeah, no, I think that listen, there are so many variables into all this. And I think, we all have our opinions on what actually happened, what went on. I think the public's opinion and our rivals' opinions are a lot different than a lot of our opinions, for sure. And I think one thing I would say is like, I think that nobody going back to that 2023 season, the media did have such an involvement in how that all played out, right?
Facts.
And so that I still think, which is crazy to me, because the NCAA is supposed to be, or they say they are this, all right, we're going to do it the proper way, all that type of stuff. But they even succumb to the media. Even Tony Petitti succumb to the media and pressure from everybody and pressure from fan bases and all this stuff. And so I think, as Connor Stallions himself has said, like, he's very excited for all the facts to come out and all this stuff and to be able to speak on it. I think that it's all I'm curious to see, I guess, now the punishment has come out, where Michigan comes back with. Obviously they appeal. Are there specific things that they're going to appeal on? Is it the money? Is it the restrictions in those visits? Is it recruiting? All that type of stuff. Where is it at? But for me, I guess to put it all into one is like, none of this really makes sense to me, in the fact that you can't just like point to one thing and be like, okay, I understand they're getting this penalty because of this. It all is just like, we kind of made all this up and we're going to go with it.
Facts. Yeah, it is real unprecedented because
Yes.
and then with them saying they didn't find any evidence linking Harbaugh. Like I don't get what is our punishment? Like, what is the punishment for? What is all of this for? Like, what actual rules did they say we committed? I mean, broke. Because I still don't understand. Like, they 1 minute they said they don't have no evidence that we did, and then they still punishing us. What is they punishing us for, though? Like, what is the actual crime that they said we did?
No, I think that's sorry. I don't want to jump in before you guys, Derek and Jason, but I think that's really, to your point, Dre, that's the biggest question right now. And probably, I think what Michigan and Connor, and I think Jim is just like out of it. He doesn't even care. He's like, I'm not putting any time or effort towards this. But you can see Tom Mars online, kind of somewhat speaking for him, right? But that's where they're getting down to the facts and saying, like, hey, we understand, I guess what as a whole is going on here, but can you point to exactly what happened and what the punishment for said crime is?
Right. That's
exactly.
Like I said, I'm still confused. I just didn't understand it. Go ahead.
Exactly.
Derek,
I already know what it is.
They didn't to what you're saying, they absolutely did not come out and say this is the exact thing that took place and this is the punishment for that. Instead, they gave a bunch of generalities about all of this evidence that they found, and then, to quote the NCAA, the NCAA found that Harbaugh's program was largely dismissive of rules compliance and that there was little, if any, emphasis on following the rules during his
That's
time
the most insane sentence I've ever heard from like an official organization. That honestly, to me, is, if I saw that from Buckeye Scoop or any really media outlet with an opinion, you can say that as an opinion, right? I like, whatever, your opinion is your opinion. But from the NCAA to say that as a fact, first of all, is insane, because they're not an opinion-based organization, right? They should be a fact-based organization. Here's what they did. Here's what the crime is. Instead, that's what they found. So that's one thing. The second thing I would say is, we all know what has happened in college football for the last 20 to 50 years.
30 years, exactly.
Like, this is insanity.
Exactly.
I mean, you go back to
fucking YouTube and steal his time. Like, it's not fucking hard. Communication has been in the NFL since what, 94?
Exactly.
It's been 1994, but college football doesn't fork over the money because they keep that shit for themselves. Like,
just insane to me after, the number of blind eyes that have been turned over the course of NCAA history.
SEC been doing this shit for so long, and nobody said nothing about it. Nothing.
No,
Michigan can do it. It's a whole breaking news. It's crazy, man. That just shows you how people scared of us.
I think the NCAA, we've been talking about it for years. The Big Ten and the SEC are going to rule college football. Big Ten's your NFC, SEC's the AFC. The schools within those conferences, Iowa, Northwestern, maybe Rutgers, things like that, they're going to be up. It's going to be a semi-pro league. The NCAA just tried to flex their muscle, but guess what? They tried to flex their muscle a little too hard with this one. They overhyped it using sports media outlets and leaking information to dumbass Pete from ESPN, Pete Thamel, and it blew up in their face. They had nothing. They're fucked. They had to do something. So I'm so glad that we're appealing it.
I feel like they had to do something because of, you know what I'm saying, they made it so public.
They didn't have a choice. They blew it up.
But all these outlandish
Justin
ass
was saying earlier, they even did a public announcement. Like, it's the fucking Speaker of the House had to fucking say something in front of Congress. Like, what the hell are you guys doing?
Outlandish ass things like
these
and
leaks,
them not telling us what we did. They make it look even more crazy because y'all finding us and trying to make show causes, and y'all ain't telling us what we actually did. Like, I still don't know to this
They
day
won't.
what we actually did.
I don't
And
think
people
we
keep
ever
talking
will
about
entirely.
Connor. Okay, that's cool. But what did he actually like? What was his crime? What was the
He didn't
crime
do
that
anything. He didn't do anything illegal from a rule that they said was gray and wouldn't impact games. What did he do that was illegal?
I still
Nothing.
don't know.
Every team has it. It's just people. It's the day we live in, and I'm gonna go on a fucking rant about that. It pisses me off. Participation trophies piss me off too. So subscribe, people, free. But like, anyways, that ticks me off because it's just excusism. Not a word, but it's from Barstool. But like, regardless, like, people are always trying to find a way to justify their losses, especially like toxic fan bases like the Suckeyes. And I want them to keep doing that.
Speaking of them, so this was something that I talked about behind the scenes a lot to my friends and whoever during the 2023 season is so obviously you look at what Michigan has been alleged to do and Connor Stalions has been alleged to do, which to me is still like the majority of it is an iPhone at the mat, like the worst. That's what we're
Right,
at.
that's
Like,
what I'm saying. Just like
367.
worst case scenario here is an iPhone from even if it's row 25, even if it's row 10, whatever.
Fucking
Like
Raptors.
I sit in row 10 a lot, right? And so that is the worst case scenario. So what is the worst, I guess, what is the better benefit? Having film from row 10 from an iPhone, or I know for pretty certain that Ohio State and others were at the same time bribing other schools to get quarterbacks to come their way. So would you rather, like, what's more beneficial to your program? Having a top 10 NFL type draft pick quarterback on your team, or iPhone footage from row 10? I personally, like, we know when you have that top 10 quarterback, that makes the difference. JJ McCarthy made the difference for us, right? And so, that's where I really like go back and think about, okay, what truly is that advantage? And at the end of the day, I just want to say, like, players making plays makes, that translates to wins, right? It is, so at the end of the day, you need the best players. Georgia and Alabama recruiting has said that from the beginning, right? Like, that is, you look at the data and them recruiting like crazy, which we can all, we all know exactly what's going on there. In Ohio State, you look at where they're at too. So, all right, I'll shut up. I've been talking a lot here.
But you're
real quick, I'm going to say too, real quick. Kentucky had to vacate games. What was it, last summer? Like 10 games or whatever the fuck it was. I don't know the number. Because certain players, like freshmen or whatever, working at some hospital, they had to vacate games for that. So I'm going to get to my point like in a little bit, but like, this doesn't make any sense. This makes no sense at all. If you do not think this was just on Jim's statements, because it is, you're a fucking idiot. Because that's exactly what happened. It wasn't just the sign stealing; it was before that.
I think once Jim started talking about paying, what I'm saying, we need to pay.
He wasn't
players.
That was the big one. There was the big one, but there was something before that too that I'm going to mention too. There's something other that I'm going to mention as well too.
Once he started talking about that, that's when I feel like the NCAA was like, "Oh, we got to get him out of here."
They just hyped up the rival fan bases so much to believe in this shit because just like their personal lives, they have to justify their losses, which is embarrassing. Wolverines don't do that. We're really cool and we're fucking awesome and we're tough. Those people are dumb.
Yeah. So we'll get into some of the Jim Harbaugh stuff here in a minute. But I think jumping back to some of the stuff you were saying, Justin, I think you were completely spot on, right? Like, we know
Yeah.
what has been going on with some of the big time programs, and it's come to light a few times through time, right? It's not like Reggie Bush was the only one that took benefits to play at a big time program,
Oh shit!
right? And does anyone like actually look back and say Reggie Bush was not a Heisman winning college football player? Even though they took it away, he might not get to be in the commercials, right?
They gave it back. They gave it back to him.
But it like
Finally.
we know what took place, and so I think to your point, Justin, what's a better competitive advantage? Something that I would say, and Connor Stallions has said this. I don't think he's the type of person that'll blow up the whole system and just out everybody with it, but it's not like he was the only one that was assigned a job in a program to decipher opponents' signals. In fact, even just within the Big Ten, each team that was doing it knew who was doing it and traded with them. So how is it any different if he has some way to decipher signs versus if going into the Big Ten championship game, other programs in the Big Ten send Purdue a list of Michigan signs or
The Excel sheet.
whatever it might be, right?
TCU.
So,
Yep.
Number one, where's the difference? There isn't.
Yeah,
there isn't one.
And I would say too on that note, if he had the vast network, which that became a hot topic, we're going on 2 years now, which like it pains me to still talk about this 2 years later. I feel like we should, we should be focusing on Bryce Underwood, and we can, and we will.
Time
right?
we're talking about. I swear this is the last episode.
But
no, it might be our last episode, but this ain't gonna die for a long time, bro. But this kind of stallion shit gonna hunt us for a long time. Watch.
If he had this so-called vast network, where do you like the vast network isn't just Michigan people out there, right? Like it is a whole, let's say that part is true, right? And there are a lot of people out there doing very, very similar things. And I think if you went into pretty much every program, serious big program in America, they are doing every single thing they can to gain in a competitive advantage.
Exactly.
Right. And so that is where, you go back to even, I saw this clip last night. This is actually funny, which has nothing to do with college football. It was Mike Vrabel when he was coaching for the Titans versus Bill Belichick when he was coaching for the Patriots. And that's like, mentor and son type of thing. Yep. They were both using the same Vrabel was using a delay of game at the end of the game to try and just run out the clock on Bill, which Bill had done to him previously. And so they had found this like loophole in a rule hey, we can just take a delay of game for the last 5 minutes of the game and end it. Right. I was
Oregon and Ohio State.
Yep, exactly. And so I think I use that example to say like these coaches are constantly, not only are the head coaches thinking about it, but they have 100 people on staff that are tasked to try to find some competitive advantage of how they can go beat, whoever is on their schedule. And so it just, I think at the end, again, to wrap it all in a bow into one thing here is, this got blown up to be this one big example of this all happening, right? And I think, if you go back, you could go back 1 year, let alone 20 and 50 years, and find 1,000, 100,000 different examples of ways where people were in the gray area to try to gain a competitive advantage. And this seemed, I think it was for a lot of different reasons. One, it was just Jim Harbaugh. They wanted him out and, all that stuff. The Michigan brand comes a lot of clicks come with that for Pete Thamel and ESPN and a lot of different things. So there are a lot of different reasons why this one became the focal point. So yeah.
And the best part of all the noise is there was two fan bases in particular that nonstop. You could not look at Michigan social media at any capacity without hearing the hammers coming. It's going to be hilarious when the hammer comes. You're not going to keep that national championship. You're going to have to forfeit all of those wins, etc. Right? What came in, what the COI brought down to Michigan? Guess what that included? No postseason bans, no vacated wins,
nope,
no anything, right?
Nope.
And this might be a good time here to insert this. So, in our new store, our thoughts on the hammer that was supposed to be coming. We put it into a t-shirt.
Please.
Put it into a t-shirt. I'll throw in the comments here.
Go pick your shirt up today, please.
I'll add it into the comments, Victor's Nation.
Yes.
So, this is the direct link that goes to the Hammer D's tee. And so, a side note, what is funny about this is, if you haven't heard the D's nuts jokes before, Jim Harbaugh apparently is a fan of D's nuts jokes. So, so this is absolutely perfect. So go to the store, get your Hammer D's nuts t-shirts, and wear them proudly, because
yes,
I don't think that there is anybody that should have been on welfare checks more than Ohio State fans on Friday, when there was nothing announced about any
postseason bans
or postseason bans or national championships being given back.
I do think we got to be careful that there aren't any typos in this, because it can't be Hammer Dre's nuts. So we gotta be careful with this one. Make sure we get it right. But I love, these are hilarious. And one thing too, when
we might fuck that up and actually do that, but yeah.
Man.
But one thing, I tweeted this out. I think it was either Friday or Saturday when things came out. Sunday maybe, I don't know. But it was, it feels like it's been a long, whatever it is, 72 hours that we've been reeling and all this. But I tweeted this from our Blue by 90 account that, okay, you look at Ohio State fans right now, and Ohio State in general, they are coming. I know we know they haven't beat us. That's for sure. Correct. We know we'll never let them forget that. But they're coming off of a national championship, right? They literally won the whole thing. They won the national championship. They have a 5-star QB that's about to start for them. They're trying to go back-to-back, and they open up with Texas. They've got a top 3 game that they should be focusing on.
1 versus 3, yep.
1 versus 3. Yet they're sitting here, and all they can think about is Michigan.
It's a part of their culture.
All day long.
It's a part of their culture.
All they can think about is
I thought this game
Michigan.
was a fucking scrimmage. I thought it was the scrimmage.
That was what I was told. I was told that on like November 20, I don't know, whatever it was. The day
I heard
after,
it didn't matter. I heard it didn't matter.
The day after, it didn't matter. Yeah.
I mean,
it's similar to what my children are more mature than that fan base. It's a fucking joke.
I think they're gonna lose game 1 to Texas too, to be honest.
I think so too, but like there was a Twitter comment too that some suck guy put out there that like, oh, I can't wait for your week 2 loss against Oklahoma. I'm like, we're gonna be waiting a little shorter than you are. Like, you're about to take a fucking L week 1. There's no way in hell. I think Texas goes in there. I don't think we're losing
Oklahoma.
This is from a suck guy.
Our defense.
I think we're winning every fucking
game
game
this year. and people just don't even know it just yet.
Yeah, I can't wait for next week too. Let's talk about our
People don't
secondary.
even.
I mean, we got other position groups, but like,
Yeah,
do I get to go now? Because I want to fucking. I'm like
Yeah.
ready to fucking
There you
come
go.
through a fucking wall right
Take it
now.
away for
Oh
the next
my
5 to
God.
10 minutes.
Yeah, I'm about to say, go ahead, bro.
10
You've been
minutes?
waiting for this.
Okay, so first. Okay, let me breathe.
Hold on,
Let
I'm
me
dying.
Yeah,
I'm dying
bro.
that he waited for this long, and he's like, "All right, hold on. All right, here we go."
Let's go.
All
right,
and
ready to
then
run on the
for
fucking
like
field.
for 10 seconds, his brain like forgot how to function because he had so many thoughts running through his brain.
I have a lot of fucking thoughts right now. I have a lot of opinions, but my opinions are pretty much always right, 100% of the time. I've never seen a bigger fucking witch hunt in my life than this, and I've been a part of a few witch hunts. This doesn't make any sense to me. So we talked about it earlier in the pod, right? So especially for our rivals, but we'll just have to dumb it down a little bit for them. But so let me get this straight. So biggest cheating scandal in college football history, right? That was promoted not just by our rivals, but from sports media outlets, ESPN, all that other shit. But no vacated wins, championship, or postseason bans. Derek, you mentioned that as well, too. So they could not find evidence that this scheme altered game outcomes. A rule that I just mentioned earlier that the NCAA said themselves was great and quote unquote wouldn't impact the outcome of games. But we're getting a $20 million fine and Coach Moore can't take a fucking trip to Germany next year. So which is why this is being appealed. I know we talked a little bit about that too. Lack of evidence, accusing
I
of
mean,
fundamental
it
errors on the
ain't no
NCAA.
guarantee he might appeal and they might win, bro. So you don't know that.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But like, and we should fight this because this is a fucking joke. This is a joke. So that's basically the NCAA saying, "Hey, we didn't find anything, but we're still going to flex their muscle. We're just asking for free money. Go fuck yourself. You're going to be irrelevant." I already mentioned earlier in the pod, Dave Portnoy said he's correct. The NCAA is a dickless organization, and then $20 million is ashtray money. So also, Coach Harbaugh also unaware of what was going on. There's no evidence of him knowing. There's no evidence, but he still gets a 10-year show clause. What the fuck are we doing here? So, it's not a big deal anymore. He's in the NFL. He's where he wants to be. They accomplished their mission with removing him from college football. But if it's this serious, though, so biggest scandal in college football history, like our rivals claim it is, right? It wouldn't have ended with vacating wins, but it didn't. So now they have to go to bed at night, and they have to think about this dumb shit. They have to think about another excuse. But good luck with that. But think about that. We've been saying this for 2 years, guys. And I know Blue by 90, so like all these other groups have been kind of saying the same thing. These are really from Jim's statements that he made. So the NCAA, ESPN, different media outlets, our rivals try to tarnish our season. Even our rivals using fake sources to bait their own fucking fan bases for clicks, but instead it led to us winning a fair and square national championship. So I'm not going to lie, they've been on Jim's nuts ever since he spoke about supporting players getting paid, having a share in revenue with that specific sport as well, too. And honestly, it probably started, if you guys disagree with me, let me know, but it kind of started with the satellite camps and SEC territory because the NCAA has a hard-on for the SEC. It really started from that point. But regardless of the outcome of why they really pushed Jim out of college football, he went after the NCAA's pocketbook. This is how it really all started. This was before sign steal. But the NCAA swung. They missed. They thought they'd find more. They pushed it to media outlets. Public announcement, like Justin was saying, public information that we didn't even get any due process. So Tony Pettetti, like, accusing Jim, like, he was on the goddamn plane for Christ's sakes, and he couldn't even coach the game. So, like, there's no due cause right there for any of these actions. So they couldn't look stupid. They had to flex their relevance, which every normal person knows doesn't exist. But it's just an absolute joke, in my opinion. This is an organization from the NCAA. Justin, you were saying this is supposed to show factual information, supposed to be due cause, and it's supposed to be an organization that has integrity, but it doesn't. All the stuff that comes out is just a target on Jim's head because he went after their money. And for a good reason. If he did it again 100 more times, I'd be all for it. I hope I could go through the whole thing again. Next life, can't wait. Still going to be a diehard Michigan fan. Can't wait for the same shit to happen. I don't know if that's in another fucking dimension or whatever I'm talking about right now. But it doesn't matter. Like, do you guys get what I'm saying? Like, none of this shit makes sense. It only makes sense to our rivals because you guys are dumbasses and you guys can't justify your losses even in your personal lives. This is why none of this shit makes sense of everything I just said, because it's all a witch hunt after one person, one coach said one thing after looking out for not just Michigan student athletes, but all student athletes to get revenue share. And it makes me sick.
Hey, you know what's so crazy about that?
None of this stuff makes sense. And I'm glad we're fighting this and appealing this shit.
After he spoke that, 2 years later, we get it.
Yep. He did. Also, one thing, Jason, that you brought up that great rant, first of all. But
not done yet, but
I'm not done. He's like, that's only point. He's like, that's only bullet points 1 through 3. I've got 20 more, you know. No, I honestly, the one thing actually that you made me think of was actually on the football field, going back to that Penn State game. I think about that game all the time. I think a lot of us, you know, can
30 plus straight runs.
I literally, and I remember leading up to that game, it's like Thursday. I remember calling my dad and we were just talking about everything that's going on and all, you know, there's just so much going on, right? And being like, I think this is like one of the most important Michigan games of all time, right? Like they have to win this game, right? It was everything was going.
Reason to kick us out.
If Michigan doesn't win that game, then it all goes to shit, right? Then it's like, okay, then the narrative is that it was only the signs and all this stuff. And so not only was it an unbelievable performance for them to go and win that game, but to do it the way that they did, where it's just like, all right, fuck your signs. We're just going to run it down your throat literally 22 times in a row.
For it. Yep.
And like without Jim Harbaugh, that's like the biggest ode to Jim Harbaugh of all time, of like, you know what's coming and you still can't stop us. Mm-hmm. Right. And so I go back to that, and obviously then you have, you know, game after game after game until the national championship, where it was the same thing of like, you have to win this game. Otherwise, the narrative is it was just the signs. But I go back to that first one. You know, that MSU game, I don't really count because that was like against the JV team.
Because they also hid their signs the first half, trying to make the media and everyone believe that, like, oh, even though we suck, we're going to hide our offensive signs the first half. But then you still got your ass kicked 49-0. And then you show an image of a Hitler on your scoreboard.
Yeah.
What a bunch of dumbasses.
We could have ran literally the same play like 100 times in a row and still won that game. But you go back to that Penn State game, and I'm sure that a lot of your guys' followers and listeners will agree with me. And just like, I take myself back to then, where we didn't really know what was going to happen in all of this. It was just such chaos. And for us to just be like, fuck you, we're going right down your throat, is still like one of just the most defining moments of this whole entire thing.
Almost got into a fight in Penn State after that game.
You were on a YouTube video too, Dre. I sent you the hype video.
There you go. I love it.
Famous.
So another thing to touch on too, because Jason, in part 1 of podcast rant here. Yeah. So you're touching on like, absolutely. I think you're spot on. It started when he ruffled the feathers of the SEC, right? When he was having the satellite camps, right? But then he was the first that I can remember head coach at a major program that was vocally pro transfer portal. He was the first one that was coming out and saying, I think that players should be allowed at least one transfer without having to sit out for a season when they transfer. Any other college athlete that is going to school for anything else, they're going to school for music or theater or whatever, they have the ability to go transfer to a different program without taking a step back in their career path. And he was the first one that was vocal about players being able to transfer.
Right.
And
all players.
Can I say one thing on that, Derek, is that's something from a Michigan aspect, like that really obviously Michigan did win a national championship with a number of very significant transfers. There's no doubt about that. But at its core, Michigan does not benefit from the transfer portal more. Like it loses out more than it benefits from the transfer portal, right? And there, if Jim Harbaugh is sitting there at I don't know, Ole Miss, right? Or if he's the head coach, if that's Lane Kiffin or, a university where it's easy to get into, you're really hoping to turn it around in 1 to 2 seasons, like then I understand the motive for a coach to be a very big advocate for that. He was being an advocate for that when actually it probably was a disadvantage to him because he, we've all seen it with Michigan basketball, to be honest, right? Where it's like they can't get these transfers in because of different credits. Things don't, work out. It is such an esteemed university.
Caleb Love.
Yeah, right. It's hard to get into. And so I just wanted to add that caveat to what you were saying, just because I think that that is a very important piece of information. He was advocating for that when it really was not a major advantage to him at the time.
Facts.
And other major coaches were pushing back against it, right? Like they were, like Nick Saban was completely opposite, did not want that, right? And why? Because he could go get a top 3 recruiting class, right? Maybe he didn't look at what was helping bring them in there, but he could go get a top 3 recruiting class year after year and not have to worry about them saying, I'm not in the too deep, so I'm going to go transfer someplace else, right? So not only that, but then he was really, after that, the first that I can think of major coach at a major program that was very pro NIL, that was very pro that everyone else makes money off of this industry. Why can't the players make money off of their name, image, and likeness? And then what I thought took the biggest brass balls that he brought forward was, while he was facing a suspension, that's when he went out and said, it's time that we give a share of the revenue to the players. That might mean that networks, coaches, programs have to take a cut, but it's time to give a share of the revenue to the players. So why would the NCAA put a target on Jim Harbaugh's back?
Pocketbook.
That
their money.
He is a major voice at a major program, and he is coming out as a proponent for a lot of the things that the NCAA and a lot of the people that pull the strings for what takes place in the NCAA in a way that's going to benefit them didn't like. Right?
I mean,
so
the whole system is flipped upside down right now from what it was 5 years ago, right? And to your point, Derek, he was a voice for that every step of the way, whether it be NIL, revenue sharing, transfer portal, et cetera, et cetera. And I also, here's where Jim Harbaugh, I think, is just such a unique human being, is it went against what was best for him almost every step of the way, right?
Yes.
Like, I mean, he literally was advocating for him to take a pay cut in order for players to make more money. And I'm assuming that, I was never with him in any of these conversations, but I'm assuming that when he's hearing and talking to other coaches, they're like, hey, dude, how about you shut up? Like, we've got a pretty good thing going here. Like, how about you don't do that? And Instead, he is such a unique human being that he is like, what I believe in, I'm going to go, advocate
Speak
for.
on, for sure. For sure.
And so whether, that doesn't mean it's, he's getting pressure from others and all that stuff. Like, he does not care, and that's where like this old stubborn Jim Harbaugh, came from, right? Is like, he truly believes that what he thinks is right and goes for. And you know what? If I had to bet, I think that he's going to still take that Chargers program now. And, he took it already and flipped it on its head, to what they were. Yeah. If you had to bet who's going to be leading the playoff charge in 2 to 3 years, that Chargers program is going to be one of them, is my guess.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
I've been a big Harbaugh fan.
Been
Obviously,
successful wherever he's been.
Yeah, and he's a Michigan man, right? So a Harbaugh fan up front, but I'm a 49ers fan, and he went into what was a very, for a decade, just an awful 49ers franchise, and had him in the NFC Championship game in his first year there, and had them 5 yards away from winning a Super Bowl with a debatable defensive holding non-call that contributed to it.
That doesn't still haunt you at all, right?
Right. Right.
I was about to say, do that still give you nightmares, bro?
Yeah, he's not pissed.
Shit.
But
now you have Kyle Shanahan, the Ryan Day of the NFL.
Dude, Kyle Shanahan
Can't strategize
so
to finish a game to save his
love him. Great offensive coach, but there's another thing too that before I turn the mic back over to you, Jason, that you were talking about is due process, right? As something that didn't take place. If you want to talk about due process, Chris Partridge got fucking fired from Michigan. He got robbed of winning a national championship
and had to wait to even say anything.
And he could not say a thing. He could not give his side of the story, and he was not even included. He was cleared of any wrongdoing at the end of the day, and he got fired without a chance to say or do anything. Right? And coaches, it's very, very, very rare in the grand scheme of things. Very rare for somebody that dedicates their life to coaching to have an opportunity to be part of a championship at this caliber, right? A national championship in college football in Division I is a step behind the Super Bowl, right? As far as championships go. And speaking of the fact that the NCAA, somebody was leaking all of this shit, right? To control the narrative.
For 2 years.
You've got somebody that dedicated their life to coaching individuals that in the thick of a national championship run got fired without cause and could not come to his own defense. That's a one of the things that I think is maybe
great coach.
It's hidden. Too. Some people are talking about it a little bit, but it's hidden in all of this as part of something that's significantly wrong with the whole scenario, and something that rubs me incredibly the wrong way.
Yeah, and it's okay for our rivals to think like, well, no, it's cheating, just laugh at it, like it has nothing to do with Jim, because, I mean, maybe we would be doing the same thing too, but like regardless, like this is exactly what happened. This is what it is. It was a witch hunt on Jim. From those statements, and he was kind of pushing the button a little bit, but I would relive it 100 times over because he's not wrong. He's paved the way for this NIL. Is it out of control maybe a little bit? Does it need to be a cap? Yeah, it does, and it's up to that university to strategize where to put that money, especially in revenue sharing as well too. But I mean, you're exactly right, Derek, and everything we've talked about tonight. We're talking as Michigan fans, but also at the same time, like, we don't have our heads up our asses, and we're also talking as football fans too, because how this came about with biggest scandal ever, no vacated wins, and this other stuff, other universities or football programs have done shit less. There's nothing there. Something doesn't make sense. So we're not done with this shit. We're obviously gonna appeal it, but it's just something's not right about this. Something's not right about this. And Jim was a hell of a coach. He didn't deserve any of this crap. And for our rival fans, you have to think about it now for the rest of your lives. I don't really give a fuck that you have to do that. I really don't feel sorry for you because instead of like taking it as an opportunity to be better, you guys are just fucking morons and you go to the first thing that comes out and you believe the first thing. Your own fucking outlets on Twitter were even getting clicks out of you and subscriptions from you because they said the hammer was dropping. That's how fucking dumb you are. That's how stupid you are. Like, I don't know what grades you got in school, but I guarantee you didn't even pass first grade.
I
It's
don't.
an absolute fucking embarrassment.
To your point, I don't know if you saw. I actually quote tweeted somebody the other day that runs. I think it's Spartan Mag or whatever.
I think I might have shared it. Go ahead, Justin.
I mean, they're like a legit beat, they're not like just a fan page. Like they're legit beat writers. He literally was talking about, and we're talking about a program that is less than 2 weeks away from their own kickoff. Should be talking about Aiden Childs and whatever.
Yes.
And he is trying to sell subscriptions to his site for a lot of chatter about Harbaugh and Michigan on here. If you want to jump in and pay $1 a month or whatever, I'm like, man, that is the most shameless plug I've ever seen in my entire life.
Bro.
I didn't repost that, but I reposted you guys on Twitter with Dave flipping everyone off. So I didn't repost that.
I feel like everybody that don't nobody in their other schools don't have nothing to talk about. You said, they supposed to be talking about Aiden Childs, but he ain't shit, so they got to talk about us.
They got to talk about us.
Always. With that 10 deep defensive line, but like it's not. I mean, this is the shit that pisses me off. Like, it doesn't piss me off. It doesn't really get underneath my skin. Like I know my voice tone sounds like it, but whatever. But like, they're so confused right now on what to do because they believed so hard that this so-called hammer, was going to drop. But you're not looking at all the facts. I mean, everything we've said tonight, yes, for Michigan fans, you might be a little bit biased, but I don't give a shit. I would go to war. I would go to fucking war for Michigan and any of these kids that came back and tried to win a national championship that fuck you, NCAA, tried to tarnish and due process and illegally pushed out information for other sports media outlets and ESPN. Fuck you guys for that. But you also provide us that fuel as well, too, to win us that national championship. These rivals have to constantly justify their losses. And I know Justin for Blue by 90, I did share something on Friday as well, too. Like, some Buckeyes are coming around and, they had the 12 players and these players went to the draft. Like, maybe they did, like, it's too late for me. Like, they've created, there's always an excuse with them. So prior to sign stealing, which is legal, by the way, but there was the blue flu. There was the snow. No one's ever heard of the fucking snow in the Midwest before, I guess. But, like, for Christ's sake, like, I want our rivals to keep saying we cheated. I want them to. Like, we're feeding off of that. Like, I want them to continue to have that excuse mentality.
Have one rival. We don't have rivals. We only have one rival.
No,
that's going to piss him off. That's going to piss them off.
Michigan State. I don't care.
I'm just saying. I mean, it's facts though. They haven't gave us a game in so long, so
that'll get them going. And
it doesn't matter. I don't care. Michigan State, when the SEC and the Big Ten take over, there's an NFC and AFC type of like structure. Michigan State's going to join the MAC, and they couldn't even win that.
I was about to say they might as well go. They might as well go to Conference USA.
I don't even want to deal with it. I don't want to. I'm just going to pretend you didn't even say that. But like, I want our rivals to say that we cheated. I want them to. Like, I want them to continue that, to have that excuse mentality because, guys, we've seen it. Those fan bases, those coaches, those football programs, football players, et cetera, whether they know it or not, they've instilled that sign stealing shit in their program's culture already. It makes them weak. They make excuses when they should be seeing this as an opportunity to compete and work harder. But I want them to I don't want them to see the light. That fan base, those fan bases have literally instilled that in that program. And Purdue's head coach got fired. Purdue's head coach, Brett Bielema, biggest dumbass, dude. Stay off of fucking Twitter. Maybe stop cheating on your wife as well too. By the way,
Damn.
but like, stay
Damn.
off the booze. Stay off the booze, bro, and stop talking about Jim. These lower Big Ten head coaches, like Purdue's head coach that got fired, what did they do? They jumped on the bandwagon because guess what? Michigan's a big program. I've been losing to them. I want to keep my job. I don't want to get fired. What do you think they're going to say? And yeah, Brett Bielema's a big one, and Purdue's head coach, you got fired for not for fucking sign stealing. It's because you actually fucking suck. It's every Big Ten coach out there has nothing to do with what you guys are talking about.
A GoFundMe for Jason's therapy.
Fucking therapy. Our rivals need therapy. I don't need therapy.
I was just gonna ask, what bullet point was Brett Bielema on the rant?
Twitter. I believe it was last summer. He was drinking or something, but like he went on a rant about Jim Harbaugh about.
No, he asking how many, what number of bullet points were you on?
How far down are we on the bullet point?
Yeah, I'm done now. We're good.
No, I'm just giving you shit, bro. I gotta say, I will be honest. I didn't think we'd get to Brett Bielema trashing today, but hey,
it's
you
true.
know what?
Everything I said about him, it's true. And you need to lose weight. I don't know what happened when you went to Arkansas.
Oh my God,
but
Jesus
shit,
Christ!
You need to chill the fuck up.
You just see, this is why.
Dude, he tarnishes Jim on fucking Twitter like quite a bit.
Oh man,
like, he's up there with Dakich.
He is, dude.
This is why they call it the Victor's Nation experience, because you just never know where it's gonna go. We started with that. You never know where it's gonna go. I wanted to touch on too. You know, you mentioned the Portnoy GIF, the middle finger GIF that I tweeted out today too.
Twitter, yeah.
And you know, the caption to that was like, to all the haters that thought the hammer was coming and thought that, you know, our recruiting was going to struggle now. And I think that it's like, obviously 5-star number one running back Savion Hyder just committed to Michigan, right? Which is unbelievable. You know, Sherrone is recruiting at an unbelievable level. Even Jim Harbaugh did not see this success in recruiting that Sherrone is seeing right now, which is
we
amazing
just got a 5-star
to see.
before him too, didn't we? What was his name? Meadows or Meadows?
Yeah.
Am I right? Okay.
Carter Meadows.
One of the best players in the country.
Yeah,
Meadows.
Yeah.
Okay,
so I think that, to your point, Jason, it's just you know, as much as there are so many people out there that wanted to see this program, you know, take 100 steps back because of what happened and, you know, be sent to the death penalty and whatever else. And it's just, you know, it's thriving at its highest level. And the best part is, of all of this, we've went through the 2 years. We've went through multiple off seasons of having to hear the bullshit. And we finally got to this point where, you know, all right, we have a decision. We're now having to talk about it again, even though I really, you know, I don't want to talk about it anymore, if I'm being fully honest.
I get
it. And the best part is we've got recruiting at its highest level that it's been in a long time. And in 11 days, we get to go finally watch that number one quarterback take the field in Bryce Underwood and see what he can do.
Wait.
And so that's where I'm at this point. You know, we're sitting here 10, 11 days out, and I'm like, all right, I'm done with the talk. I'm glad you went on your rant, Jason. We needed that for sure. I'm ready to play some ball. I'm ready to watch Bryce and Jordan Marshall and Donovan McCulley and Fred Moore and Rod Moore and Ernest Hausman and Rayshon Benny and all the boys. Dude, this has just been, it's almost felt like a 2-year off season because of how things went last year. And it's like, all right, let's get the boys on the field. Let's play ball. I can't wait. Even though it's New Mexico, we're going to tailgate harder than ever. That's for damn sure.
We got a couple of shits before that game. Yeah.
Night game. We're ready to go. We're gonna be hitting the Woodson whiskey. That's for sure. And then I just can't wait to, you know, hopefully put again, it's you guys have said it. It's never going to leave us. There's no doubt. They're going to try to keep bringing it up at every time. We don't care. Where's the Mike? I'm the Mike Tomlin meme right now. We do not care. That's what I am. And I'm just ready to get on the field and play some ball. That's where I'm at.
Before we get you up out of here and we stop this pod, can you give us a prediction for this year?
Oh, I like that. I appreciate you asking. This is where I feel like I've been wrestling with this for the full off season too. I think we're going to surprise some people. I think that, you look at what we did last year with, let's be honest about what the offense was, right? I'm not going to trash any of our own players and, say anything on that, but we all know kind of where we struggled and where we were limited. But, you have obviously the best defense in the nation, in my opinion, last year. And so if we lose a lot of guys. There's no doubt about that. We lost guys to the NFL. You look at Mason Graham and Colston Loveland and Kenneth Grant and Will Johnson and a lot of those guys. But you reloaded on the defensive side of the ball. And so my prediction right now is Bryce Underwood does not have to be Superman. He does not have to be Trevor. I have a lot of people saying in the mentions and just asking me like, okay, what if he's Trevor Lawrence as a freshman? And I'm like, Trevor Lawrence as a freshman was like a one-of-one guy. Like there's only like 2 or 3 guys in the history of college football that have played like that as a freshman.
I got one more question after you too, but go ahead. Yeah,
and so I don't want to put that on his shoulders. He turned 18 today.
Yes.
Today. And he's got the weight of the athletic department, the weight of the football program on his shoulders. So he does not need to go and be Trevor Lawrence in order for Michigan to go out and be 10-2 and make a college football playoff, right? And so if he can go do the little things right, even I was talking about it today with Jason Ballant he's my guy from Feldman Chevrolet, which has been awesome. They've taken care of all of our football guys with cars. They've been a huge piece to the recruiting side of things as well. So go there. That's a little plug for our sponsor too. But I was talking to him today about it, and he doesn't, as long as he does the things that JJ McCarthy was good at, which was JJ never missed the small throw. He didn't always make the big throw. Right until we were at Ohio State in 2022, and he obviously later on in his career made those big throws, but he never missed the small throw. And so if Bryce can be the same and make those simple plays, not every quarterback, especially when you're a freshman coming in, can do that. And so if he can do that, we're going to be pretty damn good, because you look at what Jordan Marshall and Justice Haynes are going to do in this offensive line, I think is going to be the X factor. But I think that there's a very, very feasible path to 10-2 for this year, which puts you in the college football playoff and builds on, Bryce Underwood as a sophomore quarterback in the following year.
Now this is my follow-up. Now, I've been saying this on a couple pods, and I just want your opinion on it. I've been saying this on a couple pods that the offense is still going to be, let's say, 51-49 run. Do you agree? Or do you think it's going to be? I wouldn't
be shocked that it's still 60-40. I wouldn't be shocked at that at all, to be honest. I think and there's a couple reasons I say that, Dre. And one would be now I do know the wide receivers and the quarterbacks have been balling in practice this fall. They've been telling me that a lot. And it has been something they've been opening it up. And I know we've all wanted to hear that for a lot of years. It's like, are they opening up the offense? Are they doing, listen, I've been that guy since Shea Patterson and since those guys are like, all right, are we opening up the offense? Yes, they are playing really well. And I know that they're letting Bryce be a little more free than they would have with prior quarterbacks. But even Bryce knows this is going to be a run-first offense, and he is okay with that, especially as a freshman quarterback, because if you all of a sudden are going to make this a pass-first offense, listen, I'm going to tell you, I want to see Bryce Underwood chuck it around as much as anybody else out there. But once you start throwing the ball 30, 40 times, it is not a good offense. Those are play from behind offenses if you go and look at things from a college football aspect. And so that's where I am sitting here, and Dre, I think it'll be a probably 60-40 run offense, at least at the beginning. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. That doesn't
I didn't think it was a bad thing either. I just think
we've been talking about that. I think it's going to alleviate some of the pressure from Bryce, the best dual running back room, especially with just Marshall and Hayes as well too, coming from Bama. Like you have, Penn State's up there too, but like you have the two best running backs in the country right now. If that offensive line clicks early on, that's going to alleviate a ton of pressure and for Bryce to make plays and do his thing as well too.
That's what I was thinking.
Like 60-40, we agree with. Next couple of years, I think we're going to see more of that playbook open up a little bit. Not saying there's not going to be big trick plays, but I also talked about McCulley. He threw that touchdown pass with Indiana against us at the Big House a couple of years ago. He's capable of throwing the ball as well, too, on some trick plays. So I think just with Chip Lindsey, we're going to see a lot more creativity as well, too, because I think he actually understands the talent that he has. It's going to be interesting.
I think that's the another X factor there. I think is Chip Lindsey, and Chip Lindsey is the first offensive coordinator that we've hired in a very long time that is coming in as an experienced offensive coordinator, right? Because we went from Josh Gaddis to Sherrone Moore to Kirk Campbell, right? And in all of those stops, Sherrone Moore absolutely killed it, but that was his first time being an offensive coordinator, and so Chip Lindsey is unique in the sense that he's coming in for the first time in about a decade as an experienced offensive coordinator that we're bringing in. And one of the things that I think he brings to the table that bodes well for college football, especially with offensive coordinators, is the ability to cater his offense to around its strengths and to hide the weaknesses. And don't ignore the fact that he turned Drake May into a first-round draft pick quarterback and Omarion Hampton into a first-round draft pick running back in back-to-back years. Omarion Hampton, if there's people that think that we're gonna just all of a sudden be in this passing offense because Drake May was a first-round draft pick, Hampton ran for over 1,500 yards in back-to-back seasons in his last two seasons at North Carolina. We're gonna pound the rock. We're gonna run the rock.
That's what I was thinking.
So I think that it's just going to be I'm not saying that Bryce can't open it up, but
offense,
to your point, and
suffocate, control the game.
I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, Justin. Bryce Young, he's 18 years old.
Bryce Underwood.
Underwood.
Yeah. Oh, what did I say? Bryce Young. Yeah, Bryce Underwood. He's 18 years old.
He's with the Panthers.
And he is going from playing high school football against Michigan high school football players, which, no offense to the state of Michigan, but Michigan is not a hot spot for football talent at the level like
there's a big jump from where he has been to where he's going.
Right. Yes. And now as an 18-year-old, he is going to be playing against guys that are going to be first-round draft guys that could be in the NFL this year if they didn't come back because of NIL and what they were making. So it's a big difference. So I don't expect that. I think that if the expectation is that Underwood is just going to be this Heisman quarterback in his freshman season, that's not going to be it. Right. We're
two Heisman candidate running backs.
Right. And I would say, too, I've been trying to shout this from the mountaintops as much as I can early on, is Bryce is going to make mistakes, to your point, Derek, right? And we as fans cannot be we cannot be the guys and girls that are sitting here like, you need to bench him or he's a bust or, X, Y, Z. I know that you guys are not these guys, but I'm trying to get as many people on this wagon as I can, because it is, it's going to be a learning curve for him, right? And he's going to make those mistakes. JJ McCarthy made those mistakes when he was young, and he's, one of the best quarterbacks to come through ever, right? And so young quarterbacks make a lot of mistakes, and there's just that learning curve. And so I would always just ask our fan base, which I know our fan base. Trust me, we're passionate. We want excellence at all times. I get it. I'm similar, and so just know that there are going to be times where he throws an interception and makes a bad decision. He's going through this shit for the first time, right? And he's going to learn, and there's going to be that learning curve. And so, and also I wanted to say, to your point, Derek, also is some of JJ's best games, he threw the ball like 19, 20 times, right? It was that boa constrictor. It was very methodical and strategic. And, it was, all right, we're going to set this play up to make this pass later in the game, right? And so, I think if you go do me a favor, if you're, of somebody listening to this podcast right now, go look at JJ's best games. They weren't when he threw the ball a ton, right? And so, Bryce's natural talent is a little bit different than JJ. I don't want to compare the two because they are different, people, but you go back and look at JJ's stats. When he was at his best, he was throwing the ball around like 22 to 24 times a game. And so I don't want to sit here and say, hey, we need to throw the ball 30 times a game and let's get it out to our receivers. That's not the Michigan way. And I go back to the last thing I'll say here is Sherrone Moore is an offensive lineman, and his mantra is smash. He is still our head coach, right? And so, you talk, Derek, about Chip Lindsey, and I think he'll be a big factor in Michigan's offense, but you have to remember that Sherrone Moore is a guy from the Harbaugh tree. He learned as an offensive coordinator under him, and he's an offensive lineman at heart. They're going to run the damn ball. There's no doubt about that.
Yes, especially with the talent they have as well, too.
Yep. I find it hilarious. I don't know if anyone else got this, but I can't remember if it was Big Ten Media Days or if it was just an interview with another podcast with Sherrone Moore. But he was asked about times where he just got one-dimensional and started running the ball. And his answer was, sometimes they loaded up the box and I got mad and I knew they couldn't stop it, so I just kept doing it. I love that because that's just an identity, right? At that point in time, that's just your identity. Is I dare you to come and stop this, and I dare you to commit everything to come and stop this.
You look at last year too. I mean, the USC game, we literally had to go 80 yards in like a minute, right? And you just run it up the gut. I mean, Ohio State, you had basically zero passing game outside of a couple of trick plays, right? And you're running it up the gut at a national championship defensive line that has 5 stars across the D line. And honestly, let's be honest, Michigan's worst offensive line in the past 5 years, and you still, Sherrone's like, I don't give a fuck. I'm running this shit right up the gut. And it's just like, so I think that I go back to a little bit myself. I was one of these people back in the 2017, 2018 of all right, let's bring on Josh Gaddis and Speed and Space and all these,
me too.
Right? I'm man enough to admit, I was one of those guys that was like, dude, we got to change this up and modernize and come to grips and all this stuff. And I think there was some truth to that of okay, Jim Harbaugh needed to modernize his take of college football a little bit, but at the core, run power. Let's find, instead of running power the same way every time, let's find 1,000 different ways to run power right? But
Exactly.
still at its core, it's power. And so, if you go back and talk to a Zach Zinter or a Vistardis, back in 21 and some of these guys and like, even an Olu, right, back in 21. And so I think they're going to be like, yeah, man, like we won by running the fucking football. And it was, I do think that part, I'm ranting. I think I'm on my Jason rant now about running the football.
I love it. It's contagious, dude. Keep going. I love it.
But I think that
run the fucking wall. Do it, dude.
I go back to that of like, when the entirety of college football was turning to, all right, you just got to run spread. You got to throw the ball. You got to do all these things. Jim Harbaugh was like, listen, I'm going to modernize it. I'm going to think a little bit differently, but I'm going the other way, right? And I'm just going to run the shit out of the ball. And he knew that, at its core, it works. And so I think that, they're not going to go away from that. Again, there are going to be some different wrinkles because you have an unbelievably athletic quarterback, and there are going to be some different things. But ultimately, I think that, you're going to watch Justice Haynes and Jordan Marshall running up the gut or off tackle a lot this year.
Establish that running game to open up the passing game, make your freshman quarterback feel comfortable. And then we have Savion fucking Hitter, #1 running back in the country for next year's class as well, too. So I think we're still going to have that bulk constrictor mentality. We're going to make Bryce feel comfortable. He's going to make some mistakes here and there, but who cares? So Justin, love your rant or whatever, Jason rant or whatever you want to call it. But as a fan base, we need to stick by them too. And Dre, that's what we were kind of telling Eleanor Marsh as well too. It's like kind of why we do those Mother of Michigan podcasts. We had, Father of Michigan's. We had Dale Mullins on last year as well too. But it's going to be really important to still establish that running back room and keep that solidified as well too at a top talent level. But make your young quarterback feel comfortable.
Yeah. And something to add, Justin, that you were talking about, because we are big proponents of don't bash the players. And we are
for your ass out of the group for that.
With the people that follow us on Facebook, a lot of the players' parents do. We've brought them on for podcasts. Which when you, it's easy as a fan to look at these guys as a 4-star or a 5-star or a starting quarterback or a starting receiver, right? And forget the fact that they're 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. And in the eyes of most people in their lives, all they are is a kid that's still growing up and turning into a man. But when it comes to making mistakes, for example, JJ threw 2 pick sixes in the college football playoff against TCU, right? That sucked. Does JJ lead the drive? Does JJ lead the drive in the Rose Bowl against Alabama to tie the game and go into overtime? If he doesn't learn from what he did against TCU the previous years, and if he's not driven by that the previous year, I don't know. Because
Bowling Green, he threw 3.
So right, a bad game, but the type of people that the character that Harbaugh started to bring in, and even with an increased recruiting effort, Sherrone Moore is fantastic. He always has been fantastic when it comes to recruiting. There's still an identity, and an identity is you either win or you learn, right? And so when you have guys like that embody that identity, that they're not going to fall into quicksand because something didn't go their way. They're going to get better because of it. That's where embrace the freshman mistakes that Bryce is going to make this year, because it's going to make him better in year 2 and it's going to make him better in year 3, right? And those are the years that he could legitimately be a Heisman candidate, and those are years that another undefeated season could be on the radar, because there is a lot of young talent on this team, and if we can combine elite quarterback play like we did with JJ with that talent maturing and getting older, I mean, that's what we want to see.
We saw the ability of probably him throwing a forward pass for the 30 yards or 25 yards this year. So last year was a struggle. So what did teams do? They stack the box. So they're going to run the ball, right? They're going to run the ball. But you saw that in 21 and 22 after that in 23, right away, you saw our 3 non-conference opponents. They're going to stack the box because they're going to challenge us to throw the ball. JJ could start throwing the ball. That's what we're going to see. So, Justin, again, we're not going to try not to compare the two, right? But like we're going to see we're going to see Bryce throw that forward pass, but really make plays that you can stack the box all you want. We're still going to run it down your throat, but at the same time, when you can start getting comfortable and you bring that secondary up a little bit, we actually do have that playmaker to be able to throw that ball as well too, and we have the receivers to run routes correctly as well too and create space. So I think that's what we're going to see, kind of similar. Teams are going to stack the box. They're going to challenge us. You have a freshman quarterback. We don't know where his talent level is at this D1 level yet, but at the same time, I think it's going to be a little bit different from what we saw last year as well too. So it's going to be interesting, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same basic opponent defense that we've seen to stack the box, challenging us. And once they do, and we can throw the ball, they're going to be kind of fucked the rest of the game, basically, week after week.
and
so same as 23.
But before we finish up here, Justin, I really appreciate you joining us and hopping on. You've been really close to this over the last couple of years.
My guy, man.
But so everyone tuning in, everyone that's listening, whether you're listening live, whether you're listening later on, remember you can find us on Spotify, find us on Apple Podcasts now as well. But Blue by 90, give them a follow. Look for their podcast, follow them on social media, go to their website, nonstop content. Yep, nonstop content. And
where the
speaking of
Justin,
tailgate,
where the what's the name gonna be at? The trivia. Plug that in too.
Yeah, Pretzelville. Yep.
Y'all come try to get a shot at my title at the Pretzelville. You know what I'm saying?
Gotta come at
this year, Justin. So last year was at kind of close in front of Chrysler. Where is it at this year? Where can they find it?
So we're going to be at 1006 South Main Street. So we're kitty corner on the opposite side of that, but right on the corner of the big house on Main Street, on the main strip right there. And so we've got Woodson Whiskey coming in. Feldman Chevrolet is a big sponsor. And we've got, North Peak Brewing as well. We've got some new beers coming in through them too. And so week one, I'll say this, we've got Clayton Anderson. He's a good friend of ours, live band coming in. We'll have a DJ there before them. We're going to have the games on that are prior to Michigan. There's a certain team that's playing Texas, going to lose to Texas. That we'll have on the big screen, but we're gonna have a blast, man. I think it's just one of the game one is always just like so much fun, especially with it being a night game. Everyone's getting back together for the first time in a year, right? And the possibilities are endless. Tanner and I talked about this on our last podcast too. It's like week one, everybody can be 12-0. You know what I mean? Right. So you just never know. That's where, Bryce can still be the Heisman candidate. You can still possibly be 12-0. Everybody can possibly break a record. So it's just like, it's that amazing time of the year, and we're going to have a great time. I'm so pumped that you guys are going to be there. And it's going to be a fun time. So I appreciate everybody, that comes on out. Come on out, check it out, follow us on everything. Most importantly, keep following these guys because they're amazing here. Shout out Cora's crew as well. I know that you guys had them on the other day. I was talking to Derek about them, and we're going to see what we can do for her a little bit more this season. But they've been going through a crazy journey, and we're working on a few things for some dream experiences for some different different kids this fall with Michigan. So anyways, appreciate you guys having me on. It's fun as always with you guys. I'll listen to your rants anytime, Jason. It's been you guys are always a pleasure to hang out with.
Appreciate you. Hey, I got one more question. Justin, you thought about going to Germany yet? Is you going to Germany?
That's a long ways away. I mean, as soon as I saw it, we were like, I guess we're going to Germany. Shit, I
Facts.
don't know.
Okay. Okay.
But you know, we had some different opinions on that too. I'm sure you guys did too. As cool as it is, you know, for a guy that lives
Michigan.
like right in Ann Arbor, you know, as cool as going to Germany is, I love driving right down the road and being at Big House. So,
Facts.
you know, I feel a little bittersweet about it. But you know, that's just one of those things we got to deal with as being, you know, the best program in the country. They want you, you know, worldwide. So it is what it is.
Facts. Again, man, thank you for coming on, man. It's always a pleasure having you, man. You know, we got mad love for you, for Justin, man. You know, it's like our brother, man. You know, our brother pod.
I appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate like your support for us as well too, and then we keep pushing you guys on our media outlets. Not like you guys really need it anymore, probably, but like we're gonna continue to push Justin and you guys all the time. But I appreciate what you said about Cora, and then tuning in for her mom, Katie Fuller, talking and what you guys might, you know, do for them. So we appreciate everything you do. But you're an outstanding person, man. Probably the nicest thing I said tonight.
Wow.
You're an outstanding person. I mean, like, you really do a lot of good stuff, and we appreciate you. You're a busy guy. We appreciate you taking the time to just chill with us, rant, listen to my rants more importantly, but like really talk about this topic. But we're moving forward, and we're ready to see some fucking Michigan football.
Can't wait, man.
Baby.
Can't wait. Appreciate you guys.
And for those of you listening that are unfamiliar with what we're talking about with Cora's crew, go back and look at some of our previous podcasts. We had a special feature podcast with Katie Fuller, mother of Cora Fuller, who is a 6-year-old currently battling leukemia. In that podcast, we were focusing on trying to help raise some money for that battle with donations that you can make directly to the Fuller family. Or if you go to thevictorsnation.com/shop, we've got a store that is up and running. If you're watching this, this is the newest addition to the store right here, the Hammer D's t-shirts with a Buckeye. But there's also a line of Cora's Crew apparel on there, and all proceeds of any Cora's Crew apparel are completely being donated to the Fuller family. So appreciate the shout out on that, Justin, and appreciate the support. But thank you to everyone that tuned in. Thank you to our regulars that are here every week with us. For those of you that are tuning in for the first time, find us on Facebook, find us on Twitter. Be sure to like, follow, and keep up with all the content that we're going to be bringing next week. We're going to be coming at you with some season previews, previewing the offense, previewing the defense, previewing the season, and previewing week 1 game against New Mexico. And after that, you can find us in Ann Arbor at the Blue by 90 tailgate Saturday of the home opener. So
I think we should also predict how much beer we're going to drink week 1.
We should.
I mean,
I think I'm going to do the most, but yeah.
The limit does not exist. The limit does not exist.
We're taking my truck, so you can be as hungover as you want on Sunday. So
I mean, we're walking Saturday.
Right. And we're not driving on Saturday.
Probably Friday.
Drinking and driving is not cool. We do not condone that. We have a hotel right next to the stadium.
No.
Perfect.
Yes. Be smart, people. But yeah, Dre, do your thing.
On that note, Dre, you want to sign us off?
With that being said, I want to thank y'all tonight for tuning into the Victors Nation experience. It's been great. My man Justin, you know what I'm saying, it came through and shut it down like always. Thank y'all for the support. Love one another, respect one another, and always go blue.
Go blue.
Go blue. See you week 1.